Alright guys, yo, what up? So, been waiting here in front of the computer for a little while, and finally, the X-Men Days of the Future Past trailer is online. And 1 second, holy crap, it's dark. It's a little better. But I've been waiting all morning for the Days of the Future Past trailer to go online. It is now going online. As I've said in many reviews, I'm a DC person, but when it comes to Marvel, the one thing that has always grabbed my attention and that I immediately latched onto was the X-Men. I've always loved the X-Men. To me, the X-Men are what embody the universe of Marvel. They expand there's so much that can be told through the stories of the X-Men, and just like the characterization of the X-Men is just like, it honestly to me is some of the best writing that I like in terms of comic book. It's some of the best comic book writing I've ever seen in terms of some of the X-Men stories. I mean, I love Superman's my main guy. I started out with Superman, DC Universe, and the Batman, but I even this will say that there's a lot of stories in the X-Men that even trumps a lot of stuff from Superman and Batman. It's just brilliant in terms of the characterization of these characters. So naturally, I am pumped for Days of the Future Past. I love First Class. I've said this many times. X-Men First Class to me is, and I'm a Joss, and let me get this out of the way. I'm a huge Joss Whedon fanboy. I will follow Joss to the end of the earth in terms of whatever work he does. I will see it in theaters. That's how much I'm a Joss Whedon fanboy. The man who created Firefly will always have my attention. But to me, X-Men First Class is, my personal opinion, the best Marvel movie out there. I'm just gonna say it, and I don't. People can say, "You kidding me?" Over the Avengers? Yes, I put X-Men First Class as my favorite Marvel film altogether, and the Avengers would be number 2. Now, this is not saying comic books altogether, but this is in terms of movies in the Marvel universe, not the DC, not excluded. But in terms of Marvel films, X-Men Days of the Future Past is my favorite Marvel film of all, and is in my top 3 favorite comic book films of all time. I love that film. I think Matthew Vaughn, he nailed it in terms of what the core of the X-Men, and just in terms of the storytelling. And of course, Michael Fassbender, amazing Magneto. That's a film that when it was first announced, I was hesitant, but I wanted to see it. But I wasn't sure if I wanted to see it because of what X-Men Last Stand happened. But when Matthew Vaughn was brought on, that gave hope right there of it, and he delivered on every level. And trust me, I was upset big time when I heard he left, but Bryan Singer's back. Now here's the thing, Bryan Singer directed X-Men 1 and 2, great films, but my stigmata comes from the fact that Bryan Singer also directed Superman Returns, and essentially destroyed any chance of Superman having his return back then. Ironic that I just kind of said have his return, but whatever. So I kind of naturally have a little iffy about Bryan Singer, but this is his chance to redeem me, since he has done a good job with the X-Men film. But I'm talking so much about this, but the trailer is up, so let's check this out right now. So here's my reaction for X-Men Days of the Future Past, which is my most anticipated movie of next summer. So here we go.
What's the last thing you remember? I had a glimpse into the past. You're going to have to do for me what I once did for you. You need me as well.
Bishop!
Side by side to end this war before it ever begins. So, I wake up in my young body, and then what? Find me, convince me of all of this. It's good to take the two of us. my strongest suit. I don't want your suffering. I don't want your future. Please. We need you to hope again.
This is deep. That trailer has, oh man, that gave me shivers and all honesty. That trailer has a deep and dark vibe to it, and you know what? That's exactly what the story of X-Men: Days of the Future Past was. That was a very dark story, probably one of the most darkest stories in the X-Men saga, outside of maybe the Phoenix saga and some of the Apocalypse stuff. But oh man, that trailer definitely nailed the core of Days of the Future Past in terms of storyline. And you know what? We still haven't got any glimpses of Sentinels yet. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, where are the Sentinels? Well, you know what? This is early. And the Sentinels probably still have a lot of CGI, I'm guessing, to be done. And I'm guarantee you we're going to get another trailer for that with Sentinels. But just when we saw that, now my only issue is, in the comics, Kitty Pryde was just as much part of the going back in time as Wolverine. And oh man, one thing that's a little, I'm hoping, and I see it, is that this film won't focus too much around Wolverine, because in all honesty, we've already had so much focus on Wolverine. It's beyond ridiculous, and it's time to give the other X-Men their turn. And I really hope we get as much focus on Magneto, especially Magneto, because, oh man, Magneto being my favorite X-Men character of them all. He's just such a brilliant and complex character. Xavier, and it's also really cool to see Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart back on. I mean, the also talk is that this will erase everything that happened in X-Men Last Stand, which we've already tried to erase from our minds, but wow. I got a really good vibe from that trailer, and I am pumped. And when I tell you I am pumped for this movie. Next year, and the biggest thing, I'm so glad they bumped it up to Memorial Day. It was originally going to come out in July, the end of July, and Fox switched spots with Rise of the Planets and the Apes, gave them their July spot, and bumped X-Men up to May, which when I first found that out, I was like, oh yes, that's great, because that means I don't have to wait as long. So 2014 can't get here fast enough. At this point, I don't care about Spider-Man at all. I don't really have any desire. There's no trailer out, but still don't really have much desire. I didn't think the last Spider-Man was awful, but I didn't think it was great either, and wanted me to jump on it. But X-Men, that is the film that I'm waiting for next summer. And I will be there at that midnight showing, rooting and hoping that Singer delivers this, because this is one of those stories that, in terms of the X-Men universe, that is one of the most brilliant stories around. And I cannot wait for this film to come out. So, as you can just see, man, this excitement for me on this, even as being a DC, growing up as a DC person and jumping onto Marvel through the X-Men, this is why I am so pumped for this film. So yeah, leave some comments below. Tell me what you think. Are you pumped for X-Men: Days of the Future Past? Like I said, this is one of my favorite storylines of the X-Men. I would say my top three would have to be the Apocalypse, Phoenix Saga, and Days of Future Past. But yeah, so leave some comments below. Tell me what you think. Are you pumped? I know I'm pumped, and I will probably have another video up, even though I said that a lot over the summer and didn't, but then I got sidetracked after summer. The movie rush ended and things kind of calmed down for me. So I think I'll have another video up this weekend on a review of Endgame, or I might put a review up of Arrow, which I'm big fan. I have actually been watching Arrow. I am a big fan of that the show, so I might be put up a review of what so far how I think the season's going. But yeah, leave some comments below. Tell me what you think. Are you pumped for Days of Future Past? Because I know I am, and I will see you guys in the next video.